Let's kick off. Are we live, Mr. Music? Excellent. Thanks for coming, guys. Another month. March already. Welcome to the world's largest in-person Webflow community meetup. Now officially rubber stamped. LinkedIn. Webflow kindly posted a little profile of me on LinkedIn. You might have seen. I don't know. If you haven't, go find it. But they mentioned that, so that's authority. We are definitely the largest. However, that said, tonight our numbers aren't what they were last month. We've got a great crowd here. Thank you for making it. There might be some more trickling in drips and drabs. I think there's some transport issues on the London network. If you're on the live stream, you're probably smart with the state of London transport sometimes. But anyway, let's move on. Tonight we've got a couple of top-class guest presenters that have volunteered to talk to us. Hamish on designing at the speed of thought. I think I've got that right. I might have garbled that. And Stefan, who first joined us, I think it was October, from Bulgaria, and loved it so much, has come back for more and is going to be presenting on a localization project. More on that later. We're going to have a short break between the presentations. If anyone's got any announcements, they can start thinking about it now. If you're hiring, looking for work, upcoming events, or need help with something, then that's a good opportunity. But I'm not going to put you on the spot now, but at break time we're going to fit that in. So yeah, the agenda for tonight, Jimmy's going to do a little recap, and then we've got the presentations. We're going to finish up with a social. They had a new venue just across the road here, the Roundabout. So there's a sports pub, but there's not really any sports on tonight, and they've got a space for us. So I hope you guys can join in. I would like to thank Beyond, our sponsor for this evening. That's the workspace you're in. It's fantastic. It has all these services, Wi-Fi, tea, coffee, barista, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all included in their hot desk package. Special offer for us, first 3 months for £99 per month for a hot desk here, 24-hour access. So if you're interested, just let me know and we can get that sorted out. Thank you, Beyond. Webflow community platform. If you haven't already heard, Webflow have a new space for us on their website. We can share our hopes and dreams and complaints and help each other, events, everything. So scan that code and join the London page. We want more members on the London page than the other groups because, you know, we're all competitive. We're also on YouTube while you're at it. So we're live streaming on YouTube. Hello, live streamers or audience at home. And actually, just thinking of that now, if anyone is on the live stream, Patrick over here is monitoring the live chat. So if you have any questions, then Patrick's going to be able to ask those questions for you so we can be a bit more interactive. But yeah, if there's something you want to relive or share, please do. Like the clips are there, and our presenters as well. You'll be able to share on your socials your wonderful presentations and show the world what a wonderful person you are. And in fact, you can join their ranks. Why not take to the stage yourself and be a speaker? We've had so many fantastic presenters over the last 2 years, 20 or so events, I guess around 40 presentations. Many of them have never presented before. So to the point at the bottom, practice in a safe space. This is not in front of thousands of people. And also, no one's judgy here. We're not, corporate-y, businessy. We're all grassroots, coalface builders out there in the trenches. So it's lovely. But yeah, you share a project you've been working on. You can grow your personal brand, share this content, the photos on socials. You might connect with potential talent that that might come into your agency, or you might go into theirs, and that's already been happening within our community. So if you're interested in speaking at one of our future events, our next one's on the 22nd of April. We've got some dates set for the rest of the year. Scan here, you'll see the dates, you'll see some inspirational stuff on what you might want to talk about, and there's a form to fill in. So fill in the form, and Jimmy and I will get back to you and try and slot you in at some point. Good stuff. So, recap. On to Jimmy. Take it away, Jimmy.
Chuck this on quick. Right. Hey guys, how are we doing? Yeah, basically just going to do what I do most months, which is take us through a little bit of a recap on stuff that's been going on with Webflow. Usually it's product updates, but it can just be other related stuff as well. And then just some cool stuff we've seen. I've actually just realised as well, I mean, we'll go on to this next, but just realised talking with Alyssa that I did miss a big one, which was updates to the code editor in the embeds and on page settings. Don't know if anyone's seen that. Absolutely game changing, I think. Well, for me anyway. But it's just kind of subtly slipped in there. And apparently Alan did it on a little afternoon project. So
is it more like an IDE type setup?
Yeah, exactly. You've got a lot more features, and it's like referencing classes inside the designer and stuff. Kind of crazy that you didn't have that before, to be honest, but really, really helpful.
Nice.
I need to turn this brightness up. RIP, the legacy editor. Bam. That's when my all the OGs will know the legacy editor. You put question mark edit at the end. Your clients can edit kind of like live on the website. That is now being depreciated. So that's going to be gone in August, I believe. And it's being replaced by client seats, which I think is pretty cool. So you can have client sites in your workspace, and they can come in and work on them like in marketer and content editor roles for free. So that's
just to clarify, that's for people that are already existing legacy editor seats as such.
No, I think
users?
it's just going forward in general. You get, is it just an editor? Is it? I think I've invited people already without the.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have to clarify that. But I thought it was like it's a new role that you can get clients into your workspace for free. But I don't know.
I think you have to pay for it. However, this sounds like an excellent presentation that someone might want to do next month.
Yeah.
Or maybe I
could
can
do a
volunteer.
presentation for an hour and a half on the roles. And
there is a whole bunch of information on this, but yeah, a demo of sounds like it's needed to explain what's going on.
Go through all that. Right. Cool. Component canvas. This is really cool as well. If you've got components and you've got different variations, you can now dig into the component, see the different variations. When you're making edits, you can see how it affects all the different versions. I've used this a couple of times already, and it is quite useful. And we've got a quote from our man Joshua Fry, who was featured on the release notes, which is quite cool. But yeah, it's a very useful feature. One thing I would like to see though is kind of in the canvas. It'd be cool if you could just kind of Figma style, like zoom out and see all your components. That'd be a great way to present it to clients already, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm creating pages with all their components on, and it's not very like user friendly.
So this is to replace that, essentially.
So I don't know if they built it to replace that, but I think it would be cool if they did that. So just kind of like if it was like an infinite canvas, but you could see all of your components. I think that would be really cool, because presenting them on a page is a bit of a weird experience. You scroll through, and they're not necessarily always like full section components, so it looks a bit odd presenting them like that. So I'd like to.
And the components on the component canvas, you can still edit and mess about with.
Yeah, I believe so. And you see the change. You can like quite easily see the changes across like all the different variants when you're making them.
And can you create a component on the canvas without it existing somewhere else?
I don't think so. I think you have to create it first.
You can create a variant.
Yeah.
But not.
So you could spin up a variant on the canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so not
Sounds
a
fun.
new component. Conditional logic. This was really cool, but they've made some updates to this again. So now you've got options to do this inside of text, and they also added this little thing which I thought was really cool in settings of most objects, where it's like if it's hidden, it will also. I mean, I think already the logic was once it was hidden inside a Webflow, then it wasn't inside your HTML. It wasn't necessarily very clear. So I think this UI is quite helpful if you want to keep it in your HTML, but also makes it more clear that stuff won't appear if it's unticked. Just a general note, Timothy Ricks, I think, has been on a bit of a mad one recently. So much cool stuff he's been releasing. The recent AI video and the Cloudflare one, I would definitely check out. They're both insanely useful. The AI one, you can now basically add building notes to Claude, and it can like produce HTML in the style that you like to build in Webflow, and then you can copy that and paste it in. So that is really, really helpful. And the Cloudflare one was really a really in-depth tutorial as well. And then just something else cool that I saw, this guy on LinkedIn, Jonas Arneth. So if you can look him up, go look at his most recent post, but he released like a lightbox customizer. So you won't have to go through any kind of like custom code and stuff to change the look of the Webflow lightbox. You can just kind of use this UI he's built on the side. I think it's a Chrome extension, and just completely customize the way the lightbox does, and just copy the CSS in. Very lightweight and really cool, and you can make customizations without actually having to build something from scratch, which is super helpful.
So
check it out.
Does that use the native lightbox?
Yeah, so that's the advantage of it. It uses the native Webflow lightbox, and just add some CSS on top to make it very customizable. Start tweaking
it. Nice.
It's great. It was really cool. I noticed that. So yeah, his name's Jonas Arneth, and I can send you the link if you want after this. Cool. That was the brief recap, and now on to the presentations.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jimmy. As always. There we go. Let's get Hamish up here. Just give us a second to plug in. Do you know how to plug yourself in?
Yeah.
Hang on. We'll take this one off here.
Yeah.
And stick that one down there. And I'll stick that in the side.
Wow.
And
First
there we
complicated
go.
system.
There we
How
go.
does this work again?
That's right.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you can do that. Excellent. So our first presenter this evening is Hamish from Hux. Something on design systems, bit of a mystery, but yeah. Put your hands together for Hamish. Thank you, Hamish. Over to you.
Thanks very much for having me. And yeah, I'm Hamish Duncan, and I run a very tiny weeny one-person consultancy in design systems. And I'm going to keep this as light as possible as we go through on a bit of a journey. So we'll start with a simple system first, and then we'll build up, and hopefully you won't get too bored. So if you've both got your feet on the floor and you're sat nice and comfortably, and you're just going to take a deep breath. So we're all just going to take a deep breath in. And you're going to think about the air rushing into your lungs and the oxygen from the air diffuses into your bloodstream. So you can sometimes hold at the top. If you're a designer or an engineer, sometimes we can get very dysregulated, especially in a world that's moving at this quick. So it's important to remember to breathe. So you can hold it at the top, and then you can gradually let go of the exhale, and the exhale is slightly longer than the inhale. You can do a count, so you can in for 3, out for 6. And as you breathe out, you think about the carbon dioxide rushing out of your lungs. And this cycle of taking something in, transforming it, and sending something out is pervasive in all of our lives, and it comes into the tooling that we use, in the interaction that we have with artificial intelligence, with Webflow, whatever you're using. So it could be your nervous system that we're talking about. We could talk about family systems. I mean, anybody that's lived with their parents or spent any time with their parents knows that a delay in your response time is very, very important. We can talk about sound systems. Sound systems also have a delay in them. But let's start with something simple. Okay, so black belts need beginners' mindsets. And I want you to forget everything that you know about design systems. So when I say design system, there's loads of weight behind that word because you think, oh, it's a style guide, or oh, that's a component library. I want you to forget everything that you know about a design system. So scratch all of that out of your mind. This isn't a style guide. This isn't about a component library. This is not a talk about documentation, although I will cover some of those across the talk. So staying regulated is the hardest battle. So we've already covered that one. We've already covered one of the hardest systems. So did everyone take a shower today? Did everyone take a wash? Everyone had a wash. I mean, even if you didn't have a wash, it's fine. You can say that you had one. Oh, you didn't have a wash? Oh, it's fine. So when you go and step into the shower, you take an action, which is to turn on the tap. And the water is going to come up from the boiler in your basement or wherever it is in the house, and it's going to run through the faucet. And you're going to put your hand underneath that water to test the temperature of the water. Your hand is the delay in that system. So you've got an action, which is to turn on the tap, an outcome, which is the water's going to flow through, and then the feedback, which is your hand saying it's too hot or it's too cold. So those of you who likes cold, who's a cold shower person? Anyone love a cold shower? Cold shower? Yeah, there's always one. So that's a very simple system. That's Donella Meadows. And once we see the relationship between structure and behavior, we can begin to understand how systems work, what makes them produce poor results, and how to shift them into better behavioral patterns. So systems are about feedback loops. You can find them everywhere. Anyone spent time with their parents recently? I already did that gag. So thinking about systems, they can get much more complex very quickly. So that simple system in the shower, that's just one part of the system. If you think about the input and the output of the hot and cold water, the cold water into the boiler and the hot water out of the boiler, that starts to become a much more complicated system. You could then add another layer to that system, which is how do you electrify the boiler that produces the hot water, and so on and so on. So this is in praise of feedback. Feedback is essential in systems. Without feedback, you don't have a good system. There's a quote from the American mathematician and founder of cybernetics, Norbert Wiener. Feedback is a method of controlling a system by reinserting it into the results of its past performance. So the action, the outcome, the feedback loop comes back round again. So how did I get here? Why am I talking to you about systems? Well, I found out very quickly when my action was to hit a snowboard jump at the wrong speed that a part of my spine was too fragile for the height that I dropped from. I dropped from roughly a 2.5 to 3 story building onto flat ice with poor weather conditions. And I found out very quickly about when systems break. And so they've always got a stressor point. And that is the sort of the fragile system at its absolute maxis. We could then think about more robust and resilient systems, but what we're really targeting is something more anti-fragile. So I woke up and I thought, well, what am I going to do with my life? Because I thought I was always going to be a snowboarder. And so I had to take up something, a system that was going to get me better. And it was going to have to keep me strong, and it was going to have to improve my mental outlook at the same time. So I found out about this great German dude called Joseph Pilates. And actually, I think he's Austrian. Sorry. Sorry, YouTubers. Somebody can maybe correct me there. And he came up with this structured system of controlled movement designed from the inside out. And I can see a lot of similarities in his approach to creating Pilates as we are seeing in the world of technology today. So it's a structured method, and it has a principled approach, and there are some apparatus, so we have tools. So there's nothing more beautiful than a thing that we fix. Has anybody heard of the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi? Wabi-sabi, yeah.
It's like broken pots.
Broken pots with gold-flecked sort of fixes. So it's a philosophy around the imperfect, impermanent, and the incomplete. So it's the way in which we can sort of bring things back to life. So in 2018, I set out, after all of these years away from the snowboarding scene, I set out with the Patagonia Warm Wear Tour on an 8-week around the Alps, repairing people's clothes, people's jackets, people's trousers would turn up. We had no idea who was going to turn up with what to repair. And we would make these repairs inside the tiny house. I was driving this tiny house. I had to do a whole B+E trailer towing license that I failed twice, and then fortunately Patagonia paid me to do another one. God, sorry Patagonia, but managed to get the tiny house around Europe in one piece. And over that period, we had this fascinating ecosystem of seeing people bring their garments, these things that had been in their possession for many years with rips in them and tears in them, and they were bringing them back to life, and we were helping them to do it with the free repairs. And it was a form of user experience research, really. I think of it as user experience research. So yeah, so fast forward to discovering Webflow, using Webflow, getting fascinated about engineering with Webflow, class structures. Whilst I was actually in bed with my spinal injury, I learned a lot about CSS script, but I never had the capacity as a sort of, well, ADHD style individual. I never had the focus and capacity to learn it properly, or the details of HTML. So when Webflow came into my life, it was an explosion of creativity on another level. So I'd sort of gone from being a sort of very average designer to then having a superpower in my design repertoire of being able to sort of engineer. And quite often I wake up and I have no idea what I do. I have no idea what I do. I'd have this question in my mind: what am I doing with my life? And what am I doing in this job? What is it? What's the system again? And often I'll think, where am I on this journey? So I've always been an explorer. I love my research. I love my research into photography and image research. Whether it be the engineering side or whether it be the design side. I've always been a practitioner, so I love to practice my theories, I love to practice on my work. I somewhat struggle of being an integrator, but I'm trying to improve my integration skills. I'm trying to see which parts of the systems that I'm trying to integrate are weak and which are stronger. I love the world of architecture and how to structure ideas, how to present ideas like we're talking about tonight. I love to teach ideas. And I think that we're in a world now that the value of ideas is going to go through the roof. This is now an exponential period of human creativity and expression of ideas. And so that journey has led me to become a steward of this idea, which is that when we want to work as an amplified designer or an amplified engineer, or if you're a T-shaped designer like I previously thought I was, now they talk of tree-shaped designers. So a tree-shaped designer is then expressive in more of a field. I wouldn't try and do two at once because that gets very, very complicated. But I decided to start teaching the theories around design system and how to build quickly, how to approach problems like interfaces and responsive breakpoints, how we structure class systems. If you use MAST or Lumos, you've got all of these fantastic tools that you'll know of in the Webflow world, and how you can sort of teach that to get designers. And what I'm on a mission to do is to inspire designers to become engineers and engineers to become designers, and also product owners to think a bit more like a designer and an engineer. So this is with Fiasco Design in Bristol. So I went in and ran a series of workshops, and it became so addictive. I started teaching all of the agencies in Bristol. And so I started getting feedback from designers that were on the verge of quitting their businesses, their freelance roles, and they were coming to me and saying, I've got this whole new life as a designer. I love my job. I'd just forgotten about how to play with what I do. And so I'm teaching this playful method of how to build at the speed of thought. So you got all of these design and development tools, and we now have the big one, which is artificial intelligence. And that has now erupted into this volcano, and we're seeing not just a journey of practitioners in engineers and designers, but you're also offloading part of your job onto this technology. So AI helps me think. That's the offloading. That's what we offload onto an AI. So it's a lot of responsibility onto an AI. So treat it gently. Has anybody sworn at their AI here? You sworn at your, yeah. Okay, I know. Yeah. Try not to throw the computer out the window. That's the. Have you ever surrendered to AI? Have you ever just had a conversation where you've just surrendered to it? Just opened up a conversation, you just surrendered to it?
I've been caught out by believing in it too much and leaning into it too much, and then when things have gone wrong, being in a hole, only to realise that my brain can do it as well, and it's because I've suspended my brain, allowing the AI to do its thing for so long. It takes a bit to kickstart your own brain again and realise, I can do it myself. But yeah, it can be dangerous.
Exactly, it can be, and it'll make a lot of things up. It's a maths model. It always has to come up with an answer, so it's going to make things up. But it's our relationship with it. So if we are to surrender to it, that's AI thinks for me. So then we're very dependent on it. Autopilot, you put AI on autopilot, you just say, oh, just do my job. Do everything for me. Then it's going to bypass you, and then what is the value then in the interaction that you have with it? Or is there a hybrid version? Can you co-think with it? And what is that relationship that you have with it? And I think what will be more important in this next era is doing something utterly unconventional. So search out and seek out anything unconventional. So for me, that was the Warmware tour, but also at these workshops when I'm going into agencies, I'm also seeing a lot of unconventional ways in the ways that we can think differently to approach these problems. So what does my day-to-day Webflow journey look like? Generally like this.
That's everybody. Much love out to subscribers, out to John O.
So that's Charlie Bones on Do You Radio. If you're ever looking for a live radio that is a great accompaniment for design and build, Do You Radio is the one. This is the component canvas that you touched on earlier. It's a great development in Webflow's suite of tools. And I love this sort of way of working with an interface. And this is a perfect way to sort of manage component libraries effectively. So let's just get straight to the chaos, because it is chaos at the moment and it's accelerating everything, including mess. So whatever systems we put into AI, it's going to explode them at, to a level. Luke, I can't say his name right, Rablowski, put it well. PMs are saying they don't need designers for mockups. Designers are saying they don't need devs for code. Developers are saying they don't need PMs for requirements. Everyone's unblocked, but from each other, not from the actual bottleneck, which is alignment, which has always been alignment. So we're always seeking out alignment in our systems. So if you have a business, you have a financial system, you have even your smallest business, you've still got a financial system, you've still got a contract system, you've got an NDA system maybe for protecting IP. You've still got a system in there. So there's a way to use these tools that brings you closer to the work and a way that takes you further away from it. So it's important to think about that relationship too. So some points to keep in mind by Frank Chimera's advice here. Beyond the machine. So think of AI like a musical instrument. So you have to develop the touch with it and how to use it. There's strengths and weaknesses in the models. And this is Chimera's above, beside and under. So to be above it, you're steering it. You're steering it like a ship or like a yacht. To be beside it, you're in a collaborative mainframe with it. Try not to be under it, because that's where you're dependent on it. So don't offload your whole life onto AI, because then you might run out of tokens.
And the rest.
And the rest. And all your money and your life. Yeah. So keep thinking about your relationship that you have with it. And we're in new territory and systems 3 thinking, which I'm going to come on to in a bit. But try and code like a surgeon. That's another takeaway. So the AX shift from UX, user experience, to agentic experience. So we're now working with agents in different models. So whether you're working with agents in Claude, agents in Cursor, you're now working with an agent. So you've got all these different types of agents. And what's becoming more important is, especially if you're working in teams, is to have a shared language, guidelines, naming strategy, that you all, there's one source of truth in what you're working towards. So code is becoming the shared language, whether you're a coder, whether you're a designer. AI is improving exponentially at code on a minute-by-minute basis. We're all going to sleep and we're waking up the next day, and AI has been running overnight to improve the code base. And so code is now our shared language. So don't stop building. You have to start by building. You just keep building. Building, testing, building, looking, repairing, debugging. It's going to get faster and faster and faster. So the systems that we build and how we build are going to become more important. And change is coming, So in 2025, employees prioritized feelings of belonging, so I feel I belong here, and feelings of being valued, so my contribution matters to this company, to in 2026, change is handled well, my company navigates change, so they're seeing the navigation from you as leaders, and the confidence in the leadership, so senior leaders inspiring them, inspire trust. Okay, so clarity, shared language, guidelines, naming, we've already covered those. So we're entering a new idea in the post-AI era. And it's assisting us in educating and reminding us to think in different ways. Has anyone read Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow? You read that? Yeah, that's a great book. It's an excellent book about two ways of thinking, the fast mind and the slow mind. But there's an emerging third way. This is the systems 3 thinking. And we're thinking through tools, systems, and other minds. And there's a fantastic poem by Richard Brautigan called All Watched Over by Machines of Loving Grace. I like to think, and the sooner the better, of a cybernetic meadow where mammals and computers live together in mutually programming harmony like pure water touching clear sky. I like to think, right now please, of a cybernetic forest filled with pines and electronics, where deer stroll peacefully past computers as if they were flowers with spinning blossoms. I like to think, it has to be, of a cybernetic ecology where we are free of our labors and joined back to nature, returned to our mammal brothers and sisters, and all watched over by machines of loving grace. So maybe there is a harmony between us and technology. So we're now approaching the end of the sort of designer-engineer divide. We know who remembers the beginning of the internet? What's your earliest memory of the internet? Like the first thing you used? Mine was Napster.
I go back pre-web, like CompuServe, bulletin boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've seen, I mean, where are we? I always think, where are we on the curve of AI? If we first saw, Napster and those things, and then everything changed, banking, retail, the whole scene has changed. The way we do things, the way we travel, the way we interact with one another somewhat, or sometimes not interact with each other. So, yeah, in the era of the 90s, we had things like, I was way over on the left-hand side. I was just using Photoshop and Flash. A bit of Dreamweaver. I'd occasionally touch on Dreamweaver. Anyone else coming into these eras, 2000s, seeing more of sort of WordPress, Drupal? That would be more of the development tools coming out. Then obviously Dreamweaver moving more over into the design space. Then obviously Webflow we've got in there. And it's starting to get and ramp up into more sort of interacting with developer codes like open source things like VS Code, Style Dictionary, plugging into Figma, Figma Framer, Token Studio, the Tailwind CSS library. And then obviously we get the no-code, low-code expansion, Claude Code. And now we're seeing a pretty much flat, we've got a flat production line now, which we've got sort of all of these tools, and they're all vying into similar territory. So where Figma used to be a purely layout tool, you've got lots of people jumping in on Figma's business, and where you've got Claude, VO by Versal, Lovable, all of these low-code, no-code tools are expanding. Webflow, still my favorite, purely based on the fact that I have so much amount of customization and control, and the MCP plugs into Claude. So where is this all going? So now it's
just checking
sorry.
time.
Yeah.
I think we've got 5 minutes.
Oh, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm about. Yeah. I need to speed up a bit. Okay. So.
Maybe 10 tops.
Okay, 10 tops. Right. I'll ramp it up a bit. So when we're thinking about these tooling, and whichever tooling you're using, language with purpose, especially if you're in a team scenario, there's a great book called Speak Machine, which has got 6 core concepts in it. So machines run loops, machines get large, machines are living, machines are incomplete, machines can be instrumented, and machines automate in balance. And the legibility, machines can read it and act on it, is also improving. So it's also thinking about the process order. And I could have put these in any particular order. Some people like to develop first, and then they go to document what they've developed. Or they like to design first, and then they develop, and then they document. Or you could go the completely opposite. So you're jumping in at any one point. So those systems are also important to think about. What's the process order? And that mirrors how work moves inside the business and outside the business with your clients. So brief, visual, build. That could these design workflows are somewhat dying now, and the design workflow is somewhat dead. So you can start wherever you want and do whatever you want. I mean, nobody cares. Like literally, no one cares. So do whatever you want. So there's some systems there to think about in terms of working with Webflow and the complexities that you can take it to, token systems, typography systems, thinking about that career progression. And, I'm always looking at these systems and thinking, how much do I actually know about documentation? How good are my Notion docs? How could I be a better tree-shaped designer, working more towards being a better steward or an amplified designer? And how much engineering knowledge do I actually have, and where can I take it? So there's some fascinating things going on in tokenization, the conversation around data attributes and how we tokenize systems. So on a semantic level, how we sort of use semantic naming conventions so that machines can also read what we want the component to do, or how we want to use the component, that we understand it as the same level as the machine does. So a few steps on and a guide on how to become a systems maker. So step 0 is the one most teams skip. They jump straight to building before anyone has agreed on what the problem actually is. Clarity isn't just a feeling. It means you can name the system, the stakeholders, and the gap. If you can't name it, you can't fix it. Leverage is about finding where a small change creates a disproportionate return, not fixing everything, fixing the right thing. Your role in the transformation matters. Are you the architect, the advocate, or the operator? Different answer, different moves. These graphics are actually 3JS procedural graphics that I had no clue how to build these before the emergence of Cursor and Claude, which I use in combination. So Cursor works at setting up the majority of my scripts for 3JS, and then I use Claude to document all of my work with the MCP that connects into Notion, and it also works with my MCP in Webflow. So what does Hux provide? The system is the brief. The machine reads. The better the system, the better the work, and that's at every level of the team. So that's what we're trying to get people to think about in terms of the takeaway. I've been doing a lot of work around this CEL syntax, which is a class naming structure with a data attribute attached to it, which helps the AI to understand what you want the components to do, your class naming structure, the machine readability. I'm not going to go into too much detail of it here because I'm going to run out of time and Chris is going to... So you can find out lots more on my LinkedIn about my work on that, or you can go to the hux.works/CEL page, which has got all of the methodology in there. I'd love to hear your comments on how and how you think. That's very much a playground space that I'm working in. And this is very much where we're getting to now. The velocity is picking up, and we're looking at 24-hour development cycles, which are coming and around the corner. So this is a procedural typography experiment, again with 3. And there's lots of exciting things out there. Terminal clients for iOS. There's an improved monospace fonts. Text users interfaces are very much in trend. There's cool terminals that people are creating from scratch. There's loads of stuff out there. There's loads of work being done on JSON and YAML to improve GIF processing of images. Check out JSON Render by Chris Tate. And obviously MCP apps, another one that's just... So we won't create interfaces in the future. It will be generated. And the question becomes, how do we judge quality? And taste is going to be key. So most design work will be about the feedback loop, the evolution loop, the critic loop. So we think about where we are right now. We're seeing sort of not the end of code, but the expansion of how we code and meta design. Think about where you are on this journey, whether you're an amplified designer, whether you're an amplified engineer. Keep exploring, keep connecting with the other side of what you're trying to find out. Trust in your storytelling, and think in terms of tasks, not jobs. That's going to be very important. Yeah, jobs are bundles of tasks. Technology substitutes for some tasks and complements others. That's a David Autor quote. And this is one of my favorite scenes
Well, then
from Blade Runner.
I love birthday parties.
You work for Wallace?
Subcontract. I'm one of his suppliers. He offered to buy me out, but I take my freedom where I can find it.
Why are you so good? What makes your memory so authentic?
Well, there's a bit of every artist in their work.
I hope that you've enjoyed that talk, and I hope that you can find the artist in your work, and all the best of luck on your journey. I'm really genuinely grateful to the time to share these ideas. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Hamish. That was, I mean, amazing. And I understand now why we had to do that breathing exercise at the beginning, just to clear our brains for the amount of information that you've just filled us up with. I might have to rewatch that. In fact, it feels like you'd spend a whole day doing this type of work. I'm guessing that's a service that you provide, going into agencies and helping them learn all this.
Yeah,
You do? Yeah. So you've got the contact details. Before you go, I've got something for you, Hamish.
Oh, great. I love freebies.
As a way of thank you, I would a little bit of Webflow
go on.
merch. We've got a
Look at that. That's great. Oh, stickers. I love stickers.
I'm going to grab your microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Look, we don't have time for questions and answers now, so maybe afterwards for Hamish. Just while we set up for the next speaker, if you need a toilet break or grab a refill or a drink, you've got about 3 minutes. So be quick. Good stuff. Part 2. Welcome back, everybody. We're back on the live stream. All good? Excellent. So, we've got about 30 minutes left. We've got Stefan here from Bulgaria, and localization and Webflow. He might ask the same question, who's had experience with it? So I'm not going to ask that question. I've had experience with it, and it wasn't pleasant. But we got there in the end. We jumped the gun a bit too early maybe, but I think it's matured. So I suspect we're going to hear some of those stories from Stefan. So take it away, Stefan. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Stefan and I'm the founder at Agota Studio. So we do mostly web development and help marketing teams scale up their website. And we're a Webflow premium partner. So today I'm going to talk about a real project that had over 25 locales. So has anybody here worked with locales in Webflow? Yeah, hands. Yeah, they can be difficult to work with. At least like 2 years ago, they were really difficult to work with. But today, Webflow has optimized a lot of stuff. But yeah, we're gonna dive into this presentation about that. So my name is Stefan, I'm from Bulgaria, and I build Webflow sites that are for marketing teams and that want to scale up their websites and own up their websites. Also, I did the first Webflow Bulgaria meetup with another agency owner in Bulgaria. We did that together, and that was amazing. Looking forward to do more events like this one, but in Bulgaria as well, in the capital. And today's talk will be about a real project and how most times a project can have 1 to 2 locales. It definitely has 1 locale, but most projects have 2 or 3 locales, something simpler, something smaller, maybe for 2 markets. Let's say it's a local for the local economy in Germany and then the global economy in English so everybody can understand. But sometimes you draw up a wild card and it ends up a project that's really complex and it has a lot of locales, it has a lot of systems, for example, many collections, many pages. And that's the project that I took on. And it was built in Webflow before that. And it had a terrible system in place in terms of how it was built out. And it was technical but fun. And the most technical part was that I didn't have the opportunity to start from scratch. The client wanted for me to build on top of their current website. So that was technical as well. And the overview is when you're building a website with this much localization, with these many locales, the first thing that you need to have is a system in place. Because when you don't have a system in place, even for a simple website or for a website that's complex but has 2 locales or 1 locale, things break when you don't have a system in place. And that's the idea. And here, what actually breaks on a project like this? Well, nothing crashes, but things get really fragile. For example, when you do a change on one place, it bugs out many other components or many other pages or different locales. You do something in the international locale, in the global edit, you do a global edit, and something in the French locale breaks or in the German locale breaks. And yeah, you learn a lot of lessons throughout the way. And I've gathered up a few lessons about that. And this is more for the people in the trenches that build the websites in Webflow and for those that manage Webflow websites. that oversee the process. And these are some lessons, helpful tips, what to look out for when you're working with these many locales. So the first thing is that structure matters. In the project, things were built out without components. Everything was diff 985. Everybody loves that. And the system that I used is client first. Does anybody use client first here? Okay. Yeah. And transferred it over from the left to the right with components in place, a system in place, variables, redoing some of the CMS. And that's the first important step, that the structure matters because it cannot scale if it doesn't have the right structure. And when you're trying to do, for example, a change in 3 months, when the system was not set up correctly, it just takes more time to do it and it becomes expensive. The second lesson is the holy CMS. If that is not set in place, when you have these many locales and you take a look at the drop-down for the localization and you see that much locales, first you need to play around, see how it reacts, see that, for example, in Webflow, you can have a CMS item show up in a specific locale, but it doesn't show up in another locale. And you need to watch out for this. And the structure needs to be understandable for clients too. So there needs to be a CMS architecture from the beginning. The other lesson is that there are a lot of edge cases that you might not see coming. And for example, for me, an edge case that was actually an issue for the client was they had a component that had properties. And the problem was that these properties have default values. And when you edit, it's something that you can do, is go into a specific locale, and you can edit this default value. And you can forget that you have edited it in this locale, and later on you're trying to do some changes, and you're trying to figure out where is this change coming from, and you don't know where it's coming from. So play around with the localization, play around with components, see how they work, because there are many edge cases that just come up. Another lesson is that translation and localization, and that we need to divide the two, because with the AI feature that they have, you can right-click with the mouse and you can translate everything into another language, or you can do it word by word. But for localization, if you want to go the extra step, what you can do is change the images. For example, change the currency. On the website that I did on the project, on the pricing page, we changed the currency, but on all of the images as well. For example, for France, it was euros. For the UK, for the England localization, it was pounds, British pounds. For Australia, it was Australian dollars. So that is important to set aside and set apart translation and localization. Another part was really the components, and if you treat the components well, they will treat you good as well, and they will scale with you. And that's really important to do from the beginning, to separate everything into what are the sections, what are the different components, the elements, like any global components that are reused throughout the website. And that is really important, to set it up easy so clients can use it, and basically to be scalable in a way that doesn't break in 3 months if there is no component or something like this. So that's the idea for the components. The other thing is patience, because at this scale, even simple actions really take time. For example, when you have a website, I think those people that have built have seen that a website that has, for example, 5 pages, when you publish it, it's super fast. But if it has 150 pages and lots of CMS collections, it can be slow. And you can have 150 pages, and you can have them multiplied by 25 for the 25 locales. And sometimes it takes 2 to 3 minutes to publish to live. So yeah, be patient when publishing to live. And yeah, it's something to think about. One second. Another lesson is to think beyond, because Webflow gives you a few infinity stores, but it doesn't give you the full gambit, meaning that it has a lot of things. For example, they introduce Webflow Optimize and a whole bunch of features that are really great, but sometimes it doesn't do everything that the client needs. So for example, on this project, on top of the localization, they needed to have A/B testing for multiple pages. So because they were doing a redesign, they needed to test the old design and the new design to see how it was performing, how it was converting. And just Optimize, Webflow Optimize didn't do it justice and couldn't help out in this project. So we used Posthook and Wildflower workers to help out optimize the HTML structure and to optimize the performance. So always think beyond what can happen in a project like this when it's at that scale. Another lesson is who broke that. Accountability is really important at that scale. So for example, for this project, when I came on, I didn't have rights to publish to the production for 2 months because from the beginning it was important to understand that everybody needs to have their ownership in the project, and so nothing breaks, and for example nobody comes in, does a quick change and it breaks many other things. For example, I was doing all of the technical changes where it was needed, going into the components, changing the layouts if they were needed, but marketers could create landing pages with those components, and through the properties tabs, they could change the content and publish landing pages themselves so they can scale up the website. So that was important for everybody to take ownership of what they were doing. Another lesson is that QA is the real work here, because when you have so many locales, doing the changes, it can be tedious and a lot of work, but where it comes to also is when you're doing one change and when you're translating something and doing it for 25 locales, it can get repetitive and you can miss a couple of things. And so it's important to have a QA system in place so you don't miss things and they don't come into production as bugs and as mistakes. And the most important lesson, I think, for everything to work smoothly is to work together with the people that will be owning the websites and that will be using the websites, because you build around their needs and how they're going to use the websites, what are the goals that they have with the business and how they're achieving it with the website. So that's important to work closely with them and understand how they will be using the websites, because we can understand the technical stuff, but we also need to have the communication with the clients to understand what they need from the websites and how they're going to use it. And yeah, Webflow can probably handle 50 locales, but the important thing is, the most important lesson that you need to have a system in place, and whether it's client first, is it Lumos, there needs to be a system in place when we're scaling this many pages, because when there is no system, things break later on. After 6 months, somebody touches, somebody deletes a div walk, because with components, they cannot do that. They can delete the whole component, but they will notice it. And it's safer for clients to work with components. And yeah, basically, that's the motto of the presentation. Stay scalable. My name is Stefan, again. And yeah, that was the presentation. I would love to take any questions that you might have for localization, anything that you have come into, any problems. Yeah, so any questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Stefan. Yeah. I must say you made it look a lot easier than my own experience, but things have improved a lot. So maybe I can start with a question. Some of the bad memories I've had from my experience changing a component after there's been localization used on, when I like to think of them as overrides. Each locale is overriding the base site. So once you have used a component on a locale and you've localized that content and then you change it on the base site, have you had issues with that, and how do you get around it?
Yes. So it's important to understand how the localization works, to test some things, break them, maybe make a duplicate of the websites, test how if you change the default value of a property settings in a component will affect that. So it's important to understand that. And yeah, when you're doing some changes in one place, you might not see them coming, where those changes, what they would break. So it's important to know how the system, how basically localization works. But yeah, they have done better with localization, with components, and made it much clearer when it's localized, so you can know.
Yeah. Do you have difficulty explaining to clients how it works and the different scenarios, editing a component on a page versus in a collection, and these different scenarios? Has that been a challenge, or do you have like a simple way of helping clients understand?
Yeah, so what I do is set rail guards for clients, so they don't go, for example, into components and mess up the structure or change things around. And I give them examples and how they can edit and create pages, and to use the components really, because that's the easiest way for clients to understand that there is a page. And I like to think of it like Lego blocks. You can build with Lego pieces a whole set, and I like to explain it to clients like this. You have these Lego pieces. You can customize these Lego pieces, for example, change the text, change the image, and you can build a whole section like this, a whole page like this. And I explain to them how localization works, so when they go into a different locale, and explain to them how the CMS works. And basically that's it, because if we go any deeper into the properties, how they can edit the default values or something like this, it becomes pretty complex and clients can break that. So I like to keep it at a component level and CMS level, so they don't mess up the structure and they don't go into the technical stuff, so they understand it. Like the kids, they understand how to stack the Lego, but they don't understand how the Legos are made.
So limiting the access to build mode.
Yeah,
effectively. Yeah. Do you have some more questions? Two over here. Who should get ladies first? Alyssa?
Thank you so much. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm curious to hear what your answer is. You know the new conditional visibility feature. How does that play with localization?
So
can you use it, or are they separate?
Yeah, it's really nice to use it. I will give an example here. 1 second. Yeah. So here is the website actually, and for example, we can see here this is the Italian locale. So this is in Italian. We can see here that we have some tags, and what we can do is with the conditions that there are. So here are all of the locales, and here are the international locales. So it's not for every country. These are the international locales. So it's one locale for all of these, and 25 locales for all of these. So if you go into the UK locale, right here, or let's go into the UK locale. Yeah, if we go right here, we're going to see that the tags here changed. And if we go into the United States locale, we can see that they will change there as well, because they need to display different things. And the new feature there, it's pretty nice to use it, because you can set up in what conditions to show up. So you choose a locale and you choose, is it US, is it UK? So it's pretty nice to use. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. That's very interesting. My question to you is actually more about the client and like why, because you mentioned originally that a lot of clients will do like German and then English for like the rest of the world. What was their like justification for needing 25? Like, I'm interested to know why they thought they really needed all 25 of those.
They target in different countries and they do marketing in different countries, and that's why. Not all of the locales are translated into that language, but for example, there are different offers, different call to actions for the different locales. For example, they have a Japan locale where we have the pricing in yens, Japanese yens, and the idea is that they just want to market there and test out the market, as they are a global company. And they're in the crypto space, and that's why it's a lot whole global, and I think it makes them look more professional and stand out from the competitors.
We might have a question in the back, but just quickly, if there's anyone on the live stream that has a question, now's your chance to get in there. But question from over here.
Yes, hi. I'm not from the technical field. So for me, this is really interesting what I'm saying today. So I happen to be on the other side of the business. That means the creator and the commercial and the strategy side. So it's very important for people like me, while we're creating our product and interacting with experts like you all sitting here, do they understand the consumer and the culture very, very deeply? Now, my question is, when you're localizing, and there are lots of cultures, for example, Arabic culture, or Indian culture, where the UI UX is completely different. It doesn't go from right to left, it goes from left to right. And based on that, as a marketing lead or a business lead, I would also want to know what happens then. Is the focus going to be on the left side, and how much can you really customize on the localization part of it? Thank you.
So, I'm just going to apologise quickly. It's 8 p.m, which means the music comes on to tell us to leave. But hopefully, no, it's fine. Hopefully, Stefan, you've got that question and you can do a quick answer.
Basically, the idea is that when you're doing a localization at that level, for most companies, they need to understand the market there and the culture there. But in their case, it's like they do tax for cryptocurrency. And the idea is that we have some tax guidelines here in the UK, and we have others in Germany, different ones in the United States, and that's where localization comes in. in many different cases, it will be different experts. For example, if there is a makeup company and they're doing marketing in, let's say, France, there are some cultural things there that they'll need to change in their messaging that will help out. But here is more straightforward because there are tax guidelines that need to change per locale.
Skip to the last slide. Thank you very much, Stefan. That's a wrap for this month. We'll be back. It's about the last Wednesday of the month, and scan out this QR code to join our WhatsApp group. This is the pub we're going to across the road. If you're up for it, then please join us. We've got one more giveaway, which is to thank Stefan for his presentation. However, you mentioned earlier you've already got one.
Actually, I got one of these.
Yeah. So do you want to award it to your favourite question?
Yeah.
The one at the back just now was very good.
Yeah, this one was the best.
Yeah. Excellent. But if and I'd also like to quickly thank everyone that helps out with this. Patrick on the video, Rowan and Anthony on security, and everyone for coming along. So and our presenters. So thank you very much, everyone.